Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be giving you my review of the 2024 Royal Rumble. It was definitely a fun little show, and honestly, it was a show of two matches. I'll get into it. Strap in, this is going to be an interesting one. So our first big return of the night, Pat McAfee on commentary. We'll get to him a little bit later. So our first matchup of the evening, we got the Women's Royal Rumble. And starting out at number 1 and 2, you got Natalya. And our first actual big surprise of the evening, it's Naomi, former Knockouts champion, former SmackDown Women's champion, former Tag champion. And it's a nice little moment. She gets her full entrance, which is awesome. You should definitely go check it out. And they start doing stuff right away to each other. Entrant number 3, hey, Bayley. It's Bayley, the leader of Damage Control. She gets right in. Double teams. She ultimately gets double teamed by Natalya and Naomi. Didn't mean it that way, but yeah, she gets a little pulverized by the two baby faces. Entrant number 4, it's Candice LeRae. Definitely an interesting entrant, because this is her 5th year in the Royal Rumble, which is nice to see. Goes right after whoever the first person she sees. They punch for a bit. Entrant number 5, a big old surprise that I don't think anyone really saw coming, unless you saw the dirt sheets on Friday. It's the Juggernaut, the current TNA Knockouts champion, Jordynne Grace. And she goes right after Natalya for a little bit. Naomi's in the other corner. They turn around. They see each other. They give each other a big old hug, which got a nice little pop from the crowd. Then they start beating the crap out of each other. Entrant number 6, Indi Hartwell, Candice LeRae's tag team partner. She goes in right after Grace, and I'm going to say I wouldn't mind seeing that match in the future. Entrant number 7, it's Asuka. And of course you see in the ring when that music hits, Bayley's a little distraught because she thought the Rumble was her goal, and now her partner, one of her partners, is coming in. Initially, Asuka does help Bayley, and they eliminate Indi Hartwell right away. Thanks for coming. Entrant number 8 is Ivy Nile, who is relative newcomer to the main roster. She's been managing the Creed brothers, and also had a really nice showing against Rhea Ripley like a month ago. So, nice to have her on the roster. And she's a numbers filler. Sorry to say that, Ivy Nile. Has a nice little exchange with Jordynne Grace, though, so that's honestly really cool. Entrant number 9 is Katana Chance, former tag team champions, in which Asuka and Kairi Sane won it from. And she starts out like a house of fire, doing ranas and stuff. It's a nice little showcase for her. Entrant number 10. It's Bianca Belair, former pretty much everything champion. Like, she's won it all already. She goes in right after Asuka. Tries to fight them off. Bayley joins in, fights back. Speaking of Damage Control, number 11, you have Kairi Sane. And she hits a massive elbow right to Bianca Belair. Then the entirety of Damage Control, that's Sane, Asuka, and Bayley, eliminate Candice LeRae. Entrant number 12, you got Tegan Nox. And she immediately helps out Natalya They embrace for a second. Then Nox eliminates Natalya right over the top rope. But then Bayley eliminates Nox right after. So, little dissension in the ranks between the two veterans. Will they remain a tag team? We'll see in a bit. Entrant number 13. That's Katana Chance's partner, Kaden Carter. And yeah, she does her usual stuff. Doesn't do quite a keg stand, but helps Carter Chance do like a senton, which is awesome. There was a point where Carter throws Kairi Sane over the rope, but she kind of Spider-Mans on the LED screen. So her feet don't touch the floor at first, but eventually she gives out, and Kairi Sane's eliminated. I think that was to make up for the lack of a Kofi spot. Spoiler alert for the men's rumble. So, that was nuts to start with. I would have hoped she would have saved herself, but ultimately, she couldn't hang on. Then a little bit after, Asuka gets eliminated, and then you see Bayley in the ring. What happened to the plan? What's going on? You were here to help me. And then Asuka and Kairi's like, yeah, whatever. So, we'll see what happens with that. Next, entrant number 14. It's Chelsea Green. And she almost beat her record from last year. But she ends up landing on the apron, getting back in the ring, which is great. Then Bianca Belair and Jordynne Grace have a little standoff. They fight each other to the apron. Bianca with a KOD on the apron to eliminate Grace. That was wild. Like, honestly, Jordynne Grace, great showing. We'll see what happens with a potential TNA WWE working relationship. Entrant number 15. Chelsea Green's tag team partner, Piper Niven. This time last year, Niven actually got her name back in the Rumble. She'd been going by Doudrop for a while, in which, thank God. As Niven is walking to the ring, Chelsea Green gets knocked off the apron. Niven catches Green, teases dropping her, kind of like what Kane did to Daniel Bryan a couple years ago. What was that? That was like 2017, maybe? But eventually, Niven puts Green on the steel steps. They both get in the ring. And poor Chelsea Green gets beat up by not only her opponents, but her own partner, which honestly did get a bit of a chuckle out of me. Green is such a good character. I hope nothing for the best from her in the future. Entrant number 16 is Xia Li, in which I haven't seen Xia Li in a minute, so it's good. She's getting a little bit of a showcase. Green tries an unpretty her on Bianca Belair, but that gets blocked. Entrant number 17 is Zelina Vega, who's... I want to say she's got some sort of apparatus on her. I don't get the reference. Because I'm an old man who yells at clouds. But, it's a nice little touch to her entrance gear. She gets in, hits a big old Meteora on Xia Li. Then a big old Rana. Tries for a Code Red on Piper Niven, but that gets easily countered. Number 18 is Maxine Dupri, who, that's definitely interesting. At this point, Bianca Belair helps Zelina Vega up on Piper Niven, then eventually does hit the Code Red. Bianca goes for the Piper elimination, but Piper lands on the apron. And then Piper Niven just yeets Kaden Carter over the top rope, eliminating her. Number 19, it's Nia Jax. Now, I'm going to say this. Last year, I definitely had a really negative reaction to her when she came back. She has been very well improved. Now, don't get me wrong. Not saying I'm a huge fan of hers, but she's working really, really well these days. And then she just goes off, catching a crossbody from Xia Li, eliminating her and Ivy Nile, and then just crushing poor Chelsea Green. Like, oh god. And then eventually Piper Niven and Nia Jax come together in a Chelsea Green sandwich, which, poor girl. Number 20, it's Shotzi. And, of course, she comes out in the tank. And she's growing her hair back, which is very nice. I miss that little green head. She had it recently shaved by Damage Control. Which, that was almost a year ago. Then everyone kind of gangs up on Nia Jax, hitting a crossbody, leg drop, ending with a caterpillar from Maxine. They try to eliminate Nia, but she saves herself. Bayley then eliminates Maxine Dupree. Nice to coming. Then Nia Jax eliminates Piper Niven and Katana Chance. And number 21, we got the man, Becky Lynch, and we get the fight I think we've all been looking forward to. It's Becky Lynch and Nia Jax going right after each other. Nia goes for a quick elimination. Becky Lynch with the big save. And then everyone starts ganging up on Nia Jax again. But then Nia Jax fights out. Big old splash in the corner to Bayley. At that point, Becky Lynch eliminates Chelsea Green. Thanks for coming. Entrant number 22. It's Alba Fire. She's been in a tag team with Isla Dawn. They have not been on TV in a while. I know they challenged for the women's tag titles not too long ago, but they haven't been on TV lately. I want to see more of these two. Bayley keeps saving herself. Gory special by Bianca Belair, which that was cool to see. Number 23 is Shayna Baszler. Good seeing her in the ring. She gets some of her stuff in for a little, including a early Karafuda clutch. Number 24 is Valhalla is the official entrant, but then R-Truth comes from behind her, slides into the ring, sees that it's all women, and is like, what's going on here? What's up? Then goes over the rope, lands on the outside. Adam Pearce is out there explaining what's going on. Then Valhalla enters and quickly gets eliminated. So I think that either ties Chelsea Green's record or she beat it. So that's a shame. Would have liked to see more from Valhalla, but whatever. Number 25, it's Michin Mia Yim. Definitely cool to see her out here. She had a pretty darn good showing against, wasn't Rhea. Who's the champ right now? Against Io Sky not too long ago. And she eats a pounce from Nia Jax. Like, jeez. And Bianca Belair with the Heat Seeker on the Naomi. And then quickly eliminates her. No, Naomi eliminates Alba Fire. That's right. Naomi's still in. Enter number 26. It's Zoe Stark, the tag team partner for Shayna Baszler the last couple weeks. She's in like a house of fire. Vega goes for the Code Red again. That gets blocked. Right into the Karafuda. Low jawbreaker from Vega. Baszler and Vega then make their way to the apron. Vega goes for a Hurricane Rana. That gets blocked. And then ultimately Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark get eliminated. Eliminate Zelina Vega. 27, it's Roxanne Perez. Definitely a cool little NXT surprise. Almost gets eliminated right away. Bianca and Nia Jax are fighting it out on the apron. And then Nia eliminates Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim. And Shotzi. So a nice, three-peat for them. Number 28. Another big surprise, although this one was a little bit more obvious. Former AEW TBS champion, it's Jade Cargill. And she has a big old stare down with Nia Jax. Nia tries to get Jade up on her shoulders. She blocks it. And then, Jade Cargill with a big old spine buster and a big boot, with Jade being the one to eliminate Nia Jax. That was a great show of power. And then you cut to Jade kind of talking a little smack. Right around her is Becky Lynch, and she gets the biggest gaping. That big reaction got me, man. That was great. Then Becky and Jade go at it for a little bit. Number 29, NXT's own Tiffany Stratton. I am not super familiar with Tiffany Stratton, as I don't really watch NXT these days. I haven't really been since the 2.0 reboot. Might be something I get into. She definitely got a nice little showing in this matchup, including almost eliminating Becky Lynch. And then at number 30, we got the return from injury of Liv Morgan. And I'm going to say, I'm happy that Liv Morgan is back. I've definitely missed her. We'll see what she does going forward. And she's in like a house of cards. Hits an Oblivion on Zoe Stark that eliminates her. Then Tiffany Stratton eliminates Roxanne Perez. I guess they have a little rivalry on NXT. Then we have Bianca and Jade going for some military press slams. They see each other. They have a little stare down. And then they just... it looks like they're going to brawl, but that gets broken up by other competitors. Becky tries a manhandle slam, but that gets countered. And then Naomi eliminates Becky Lynch. That was a big surprise. And then just right after that, Jade Cargill eliminates Naomi. You have Bianca Belair and Tiffany Stratton on the outside. Stratton's hanging on by Bianca Belair's long braid, which that was definitely interesting to see. And then Bayley, just with a big old drop kick, eliminates both Stratton and Belair. So now it is down to our final three. It's Bayley, it's Liv Morgan, and it's Jade Cargill. And oh boy, this was a fun final three. Eventually everyone ends up on the outside on the apron. Liv goes for the Oblivion on Jade. That gets countered. Eventually Liv does eliminate Jade Cargill. But then Bayley eliminates Liv. So your winner and your Iron Man, it's Bayley. Definitely called this one going forward. I do think Bayley is going to challenge Io Sky when we see... We're going to see like a Batista moment. If you don't know, I want to say it was 2005, 2006-ish. Batista, who was in the group Evolution, had a choice to make. He was either going to challenge Triple H, who was the head of Evolution at the time, or go challenge SmackDown's champion. I want to say it was The Undertaker. I forget, it's been too long. Eventually we see the thumbs up saying, oh, yeah, I'll go challenge the SmackDown champ. But then, thumbs down with Batista turning face and challenging Triple H. I think we're going to get a similar moment from Bayley and Damage Control, in which, if done really well, could be a really, really fun program between the two. And, overall, I'm happy with this result. And it was a really, really fun Royal Rumble. Lots of good surprises. Lots of interesting call-ups. And the interactions between a ton of these people. It was compelling. It was great. I couldn't take myself away. So, next matchup. Very interesting that this went on second. It's the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Undisputed Universal title as Roman Reigns defends against not only AJ Styles, not only LA Knight, but also the Viper, Randy Orton. Now at first, we see the three challengers teaming up to try and take out Roman. Eventually, LA Knight and AJ Styles break down. They start fighting each other. Nice real back and forth between one another, including an interesting spot where you see Orton doing his side suplex on the announce table. LA Knight eventually is the one to counter that. And then he just starts bouncing Randy Orton's head into the table. But then eventually Randy Orton gets back to it and suplexes him into the table as well. Eventually they get it back into the ring. Nice little back and forth between everybody. Styles with a Styles clash, which almost gets a 3 count. Randy Orton goes for an RKO on LA Knight. That gets countered. AJ Styles tries for a phenomenal forearm. That gets countered right into an RKO for a 2 count. Then, of course, we get the interference from Solo, who just Samoan spikes everyone. Has AJ Styles up on the barricade on the outside. Goes for a big splash. Misses. Solo runs himself through the wall. Then AJ Styles brings out a steel chair. Gives everyone a shot. Then Randy Orton with an eye poke. You don't see babyfaces doing that much anymore. Roman Reigns hits a spear on Randy Orton. Randy Orton rolls out of the ring. LA Knight trying for a BFT on Roman Reigns. He gets pushed off into the ropes. AJ Styles is looking for a phenomenal forearm. He gets knocked off the apron. A Superman punch to Knight. A spear to AJ Styles. Your winner, Roman Reigns. Now, was this the usual formula for Roman Reigns? Yes, it was. You had the bloodline interference. You had the one spear. However, with it being in a 4-way, I do feel like the others got a lot of good stuff in. And there were plenty of points where I thought, oh, Roman's losing the title here. They had me hook, line, and sinker. This was very compelling TV. But, like I said, it was the usual Roman wins low. And I cannot wait for this reign to be over. Like, this reign has just been so boring. So, that's that's that. We then go into our United States title match as Logan Paul defends against Kevin Owens. And, this was a nice little tit-for-tat match. For everything Kevin Owens brought out, Logan Paul countered, vice versa, including Logan Paul running out of the way of a cannonball, which don't see that often. Logan Paul with an octopus hold, which I've never seen him go for a submission before, so he's adding to his repertoire. Eventually, Logan Paul does hit KO with the knockout punch, but only gets a 2 count. And you can clearly see the dread on his face, the "what can I do to put this guy away" face. So then he turns to his crowd, where one of his cronies is out there. He hops the barricade, he has the brass knuckles, but he gets caught by the ref. And the ref calls for security. There's a whole little oh, what are you doing here? Eventually, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory come out. They distract the officials out there. Waller gets the knucks, slides them into Logan Paul. Logan Paul has him on his hand, goes for the knockout punch. KO grabs him, slips the knucks off, puts them on himself. Knockout punch, goes for the pin. 1, 2, oh! And the ref sees the knucks as Kevin Owens didn't take him off his hand. So, ref calls for a DQ. Winner by disqualification, Logan Paul. Now, I'm going to say this. Usually, I am not all for disqualification finishes on pay-per-views. And yes, I'm going to still call them pay-per-views. That's what they are to me. But I feel like this one was just so unique. And the ref, they finally had the ref have eyes. This ref was one of the best refs maybe ever. Now, am I a little disappointed it's still DQ? Yes. Of course I am, because DQs are often lame. However, this does set up an interesting situation. Do we see this rematch at Elimination Chamber? Or do we see it in the future at WrestleMania? A lot of things set up, a lot of things up in the air. I'm excited for it. And a fine Alamo. We got the Men's Royal Rumble match. And I'm going to say this. It starts out very interesting, but ultimately it's a little boring. I'll get into it. So, our first 2 entrants. Number 1, main event Jey Uso. Entrant number 2, Jimmy Uso. Now, I do believe the plan between these two was to have them face each other at WrestleMania. I'm not sure what's going down now. We'll see. They did have a really, really good showing against each other. A lot of back and forth super kicks. Jay goes for an Uso splash, but that gets blocked. While those two are down, in comes entrant number 3. It's Grayson Waller, and he has a microphone. Yippee Skippy. And he talks about, how no one cares about this family rivalry. Bloodline's over, yada, yada, yada. Says he doesn't like yeet, which has been Jey Uso's catchphrase. Waller is up on the apron, eats a super kick, falls to the ground, isn't eliminated because he didn't officially enter the match. Jimmy and Jay continue their match. Jay tries to throw out Jimmy, but he hangs on. Then Grayson Waller gets in as we go to entrant number 4, and it's Andrade, if you remember him from AEW. Although he has a pretty extensive history in WWE, especially in NXT. And he goes right after Grayson Waller, has a nice little kind of mini match with him, including a Three Amigos spot. That's the 3 suplexes in a row Eddie Guerrero used to do. Rest in peace. Then Waller with a big old boot. Entrant number 5. Former NXT champion Carmelo Hayes gets a nice reaction from the crowd. Gets right in, goes right after Waller, because he and Austin Theory are having a rivalry. And Waller and him have been a tag team. Hayes with a big old code breaker. And then eliminates Grayson Waller. Entrant number 6. We got Shinsuke Nakamura. And he goes right after Jey Uso, which is interesting spot. Definitely gets some good stuff in, including a good vibrations in the corner. That's where he puts his foot on the neck of his opponent and just, shakes. Entrant number 7. Legado del Fantasma leader Santos Escobar. And he does all kinds of good lucha stuff to everybody. He sees Andrade and he tries to recruit him so they can be in a group together. Andrade kind of brushes him off. Santos grabs Andrade, tries to eliminate him. Andrade counters it, tries to eliminate Santos, but he hangs up to the top rope and gets right back in. Entrant number 8, it's Karrion Kross, and I'm glad he has this position because he has needed something for a while now. And he just rules stuff for a while. Tries to eliminate Santos Escobar, he hangs on. Entrant number 9, it's Judgment Day's own Dominic Mysterio. And now at first, Dom takes his time to get to the ring. Kind of goes on along the outside, watching everybody go down. And then eventually gets in, goes right after Jimmy, which is very, very interesting. They try to eliminate Nakamura, he hangs on. Entrant number 10, it's Carlito. Good to see Carlito back. And Carlito starts to go after Santos, but he rolls underneath the bottom rope. Eventually they get back in, they start fighting each other for a little bit. Santos Escobar is down, and then Carlito reaches into his tights, pulls out an apple, takes a big bite. It looks like he's about to be eliminated, but he saves himself, and the apple spit right into Santos Escobar, and he eventually eliminates Santos Escobar. It's nice to see the apple reincorporated in Carlito's act, because he spits into the face of people who don't want to be cool. And that's also very cool. Entrant number 11, it's the almighty Bobby Lashley. And he goes in there like a house of fire, spears for everyone. It's a big old spine buster on Carlito. And then eventually gets a spear, eliminates Carlito. Hits another spear, eliminates Karrion Kross. And then out comes Kross's new associates, the Authors of Pain. And then match still goes on. Kross, who doesn't leave ringside, eliminates Bobby Lashley. They start brawling on the outside. AOP join in. Then the Street Profits come out. They save Bobby Lashley from the beatdown. They brawl to the back. Entrant number 12, Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser. And he has a decent little showing against Carmelo Hayes. Goes for the elimination, but he saves himself. Entrant number 13, it's Austin Theory. Yay. Hayes tries to cut off Theory at the pass, hits a massive drop kick, and the Ataxia, which I think that's his name, the name of his signature. So that's pretty. He should use that as his finisher. Tries to eliminate Hayes, but he saves himself. Entrant number 14, it's Finn Balor. He and Dom then take on Carmelo Hayes. They eliminate him. Then they go on a bit of a run. A sling blade to Andrade, in which he eventually saves himself. Entrant number 15, it's last year's Royal Rumble winner. It's Cody Rhodes, and he goes right in, right after Nakamura. No, right in after Theory. Goes for a crossroads that gets blocked. Hits a Cody cutter, and then throws Austin Theory over the top rope. He and Nakamura then lock eyes, and they start going at it. Entrant number 16, it's the monster, Bronson Reed. It's good he's in this match. Definitely need a big guy. And he just keeps throwing his weight around, including a double Samoan drop, which, that was impressive. Andrade goes for the Judas effect. That misses. And Bronson Reed tosses him to the outside, eliminating Andrade. Entrant number 17, it's Kofi Kingston. And Bronson Reed is, doing his best to eliminate people, but Nakamura and Cody save themselves. Eventually, Rhodes hits a disaster kick on the apron where Nakamura is, and hits a crossroads through the ropes, which, that was interesting, to eliminate Nakamura. Kofi goes right after Kaiser, hits a Rana over the top rope. Kaiser lands on the apron. Trouble in Paradise to Kaiser, and he's eliminated. Entrant number 18, it's Imperium's leader, Gunther, and the Intercontinental Champion. He and Kaiser pass each other on the ramp. Gunther's like, man, what are you doing? I had such high hopes for you. We'll talk about it later. He gets right in, eats a couple of chops from Cody Rhodes, but then he saves himself. A big kaiju-sized face-off between Gunther and Reed, in which that was a nice little exchange. Gunther with just a big chop and a kick to Kofi Kingston. He's eliminated. Entrant number 19, it's Ivar of the Viking Raiders. And he is in like a house of fire, gets in there and just starts beating the tar out of people. Counters a sleeper hold from Gunther. Entrant number 20, it's former NXT champion Braun Breaker, who, if you don't know, he is the son of Rick Steiner of the Steiner Brothers. And then Rick immediately spears galore, big old spine buster, and then he eliminates Jimmy Uso, hits his Balor's up top, he goes for a diving nothing, right into a spear. Balor's eliminated. It's a big old powerbomb and another spear. Entrant number 21. It's the last bastion of the Vince McMahon era. It's the 7-foot giant Omos. And I'm going to say this. Not the biggest fan of Omos. But he did look really good in there. Like, he did some things I didn't expect. Although he mostly just did choke slams. He eventually did eliminate Bronson Reed and Ivar, which, that was interesting. Had a stare down with Braun Breaker, in which, honestly, I'd be down for that. Entrant number 22. The man who just got on the announce desk, Pat McAfee. And Pat McAfee gets in. He definitely looks confused. This might have been a last-minute addition. He gets in the ring, has a face-off with Breaker and Omos, take a step over the top rope, thinks about it, gets back in, thinks about it, and then eliminates himself. Can we stop doing announcer spots? Please. I know Pat McAfee is a decent wrestler, but that spot could have been used for, like, anyone else. Like, why did Pat McAfee need to be in that spot? I don't get it. Braun Breaker then eliminates Omos on his own, which that was impressive. And then Braun Breaker gets eliminated. Entrant number 23 is JD McDonough of the Judgment Day. And as he's walking down the ramp, he eats a spear from Braun Breaker. Action continues in the ring, including Gunther saving himself from elimination. Entrant number 24, it's R-Truth. Now, R-Truth has been thinking himself a member of the Judgment Day. He helps get JD McDonough back in the ring, only to immediately get eliminated. Then R-Truth, who is a national treasure, gets on the apron with Dom in a Gunther sleeper hold, and he's looking for a tag. Like it's a tag team match. Eventually, Dom does break out of the sleeper, tags Truth in, and Truth goes right into the 5 moves of doom from John Cena, the shoulder tackles, big slam, goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, but Gunther immediately gets up. It's a gigantic boot. In at number 25 is The Miz. And now he's, fighting with Dominic Mysterio. It's a big old DDT. You have a kind of stare-off between Truth and Miz. It does look like they understand. Miz grabs Dom, goes to eliminate him, and then Truth saves him. So, Miz is like, dude, what are you doing? This is obviously our enemy. Truth is like, no, this is my boy. This is my boy. We can both be in. Miz goes for the skull-crushing finale. That gets blocked. Dom with a 619. Didn't expect him to pull that one out. Next man in, number 26. It's Damian Priest, who hits a massive elbow to R-Truth, signaling he's pretty much done with Truth, and immediately eliminates him. Goes on a run with The Miz. Massive flatliner to Miz, including a South of Heaven choke slam. Gunther then tries for an elimination of Priest. He saves himself. Number 27, and it's CM Punk to kind of a lukewarm reaction. Like, I don't know, something's up with that reaction for Punk. Punk immediately runs into Gunther. He then saves himself. Entrant number 28, it's Ricochet, who had that viral moment last year with Logan Paul. And that collision. Ricochet in with a crossbody. And he's just... he's in there like a bullet out of a gun. Miz quickly eliminated. But then he runs right into a Gunther, who gets him with a body slam. Entrant 29 is the Celtic Warrior and former winner of the Royal Rumble, the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre, who is just laying everybody out. Dom with a big old spear to Gunther, and then Gunther saves himself. Jey Uso gets eliminated. In at number 30, returning from injury himself, it's Sami Zayn, and he goes right after Damian Priest. Tries for an elimination, but saves himself. Same thing with Drew. R-Truth. Ricochet with the recoil. Priest tries for the South of Heaven. Ricochet counters out of it. Ricochet then is eliminated. Priest trying for a South of Heaven on Punk, who hits a pedigree. That's a message and a half. Drew McIntyre then with a Future Shock onto Punk. Now, I'm going to say this. On Raw the next night, it was revealed that Punk suffered a tricep injury, so he will not be making WrestleMania. Kind of a spoiler alert. A lot of people are pointing to this as when he got hurt, but yeah, I watched it twice. I'm not 100% sure where he got hurt. Priest trying for a Razor's Edge on Sami Zayn. That gets countered. Priest eliminated, and then Zayn gets eliminated by CM Punk. Raw continues. Gunther tries for a powerbomb, but that gets blocked. Cody Cutter. Drew with a bunch of claymores to everybody. But eventually, Drew McIntyre gets eliminated. Gunther goes on a really wild run. Counters a Cody Cutter. Tries for an elimination. Both are on the apron now. And then Gunther gets eliminated after a big kick. And then that leaves our final two. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. And they're just countering each other's moves. Cody eventually gets a bionic elbow. Goes for a crossroads. That gets blocked. Punk tries for an elimination. That gets countered. Cody blocks the GTS. Crossroads. Both men are down. They get up. GTS. Then Punk says to Cody, I didn't come back here after 10 years only to lose to Dusty's kid. Goes for another GTS. That gets blocked. Both are now over the top on the apron. They're going back and forth, back and forth. Punk tries for the GTS. That gets countered. Until finally, your winner, Cody Rhodes, the first man to win back-to-back Rumbles in a good couple years. Joining the likes of Triple H, Hulk Hogan, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I will say, this Rumble was less story-driven and more action-driven, if that makes any sense. Like, obviously, there wasn't much of a story being told until the final four. And then the final two, it was, Punk and Cody. In which that was a good story, and I'm going to say this, I was massively surprised that Cody won this. I would have put money that Punk was going to win, and then Cody was going to, get to Roman at the Chamber, which is coming up. I want to say it's later this month, or maybe it's... No, it is in February, and that's coming. That's going to be in Perth, in Australia, so that's crazy. So, now a lot of WrestleMania is up in the air. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I am still very much excited for WrestleMania. Now, I'm going to say this. This was a Royal Rumble of a couple parts. Women's Rumble, excellent. Massive surprises, very story-driven. The four-way for the Universal title was fine, ultimately. Like, yes, it was pretty much the copy, cut, and paste from every Roman Reigns match this year. But ultimately, I liked the action. It wasn't as horrible as previous Roman matches, but ultimately I did enjoy it. The United States title match was also great action, and I was a pretty big fan of the finish, even though it was a DQ. The Men's Rumble, I don't know what it was. Either it was a lack of surprises or a lack of narrative. Also, this Rumble was pretty much dominated by Raw guys. Like, there wasn't that many SmackDown guys in this Rumble. Might tell you something. But, yeah, ultimately, it was fine Royal Rumble event. I wouldn't say anything to really write home about, but there were definitely some enjoyable parts. So, now that is that. I hope you all enjoyed the Rumble as much as I did, or even more. My next video is actually not going to be a recap video from this week, as it'll just be Raw and Dynamite. So, I'm going to put that on the back burner for now. I am going on hiatus until at least Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to come up with something nice for a video, as I'm going to try to predict WrestleMania 40's card, which is a lot more difficult now. And I'll explain then. And until then, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.